Welcome to another terrific Tips for Business. I am Terry, your host, and you can't spell terrific without Terry, so it just made perfect sense, right? I'm so excited to be here today. I'm with a longtime friend of mine, William Brown, and I knew him when he went by Bill Brown. And so I'm really excited to have him on the show and be able to talk about all things like entrepreneurial and leadership today. And so let me introduce you to William Brown, because those of you that don't know him really need to before we start having this conversation. So he is a business life coach, a speaker, and an author. And William really focuses on helping those solopreneurs and future entrepreneurs gain an actionable awareness of themselves so that they can show up authentically in their workplace, their relationships, and for themselves. We were talking just before we started recording about how this has kind of become for William and the trail and track that he's been on, because I've known him through a lot of different endeavors that he's been on. And so I'm really excited to have him here today so that we can kind of talk about how he's even shaped into this space. So please join me in welcoming William Brown to the show. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me, Terry. It's like terrific, Terry. Got it. It makes total sense.
It makes total sense. It's awesome. So, Bill, is it okay if I call you Bill? Because I'm used to calling
absolutely.
You
Yeah, really. So I'll help people out with this because sometimes it like just messes with people. There was a level of awareness that I had of myself. I created Bill, right? My given name is William. I created Bill because I wanted Bill to be, the nice guy and available to everyone, right? And so I realized that there were a number of ways that I was showing up in my life, in my relationships and my work, that being the nice guy was like getting me into trouble, right? So I had to really embrace the William, the wholeness of myself, so I can show up fully. And so I'm still Bill, so you can call me Bill. I still answer to that. But the more that I show up as William, the more that I can have a lot of other things available to me. So it's good.
I love that journey and that progression. And you've had several journeys in the time that I've known you, everything from being an IT guy, helping business owners figure out what technology they even needed to have in order to
Right.
scale their business,
Mm-hmm.
to running a technology center,
Right.
to writing a children's book.
Right.
And now here we are in
Here we are.
this leadership space that you're owning. And I love the certainty that you have in your body language as you say that you now own William and the opportunities that are there for you. So talk to us a little bit how leadership and how this authentic self showed up for you throughout these transitions in your life.
It's sadly to say that it starts with, a major breakdown. I mean, for me, you mentioned the technology center. That was a journey of, in some cases, a crown jewel of everything that I was doing before that. It was, hey, I'm a technology coach. I've been in IT. I kind of help people kind of figure out the technologies that they can do. I am going to create a space where people can come together and figure this technology thing out. And when that, I would say, crash and burned, or $500,000 later, ouch. I was like, who the hell am I, right? What do I really want to do with my life? And if that was my thing and that thing ain't working, what thing do I have? And the conversation of who am I really caused me to look at what I wanted in my life and how I wanted to show up. And I saw that, within my name, that I was really trying to please a lot of people and not pleasing myself. And the more that I just got on that journey of saying, who am I? Who do I want to be? What does that mean to be William? How does William show up? it caused me to be happy with myself and say, hey, this is what's next. This is what, I want to be able to share that for other people. I want to help other dreamers or entrepreneurs or something kind of really not wait until they have this crisis or this catastrophe in their life, but say, hey, this is who I am. I'm going to own this, and I'm all in. And so now I can build from I'm an all in William versus where I was before, is that I hope this is going to work. I think Bill can handle this, but Bill couldn't.
That's a really interesting perspective, to be able to not only take the step back and reflect on, well, that didn't work. Like
Right.
that crashed and burned. That hurt a
Right.
lot. That was
Right.
a painful lesson. Like that was expensive.
Right.
Right. Not only to be able to take a step back from that and remove yourself from that pain and that emotion that you were feeling about it, but to be able to say, but what did I find in this? What was the good that came out of this? And the good that really came out of this was realizing you weren't trusting yourself.
Right. Right.
And starting yourself on that journey.
Right. One, before I could trust myself, I had to know myself. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And if you would have talked to me, and you talked with me about 5-6 years ago, I had it all worked out. I knew exactly this is what I'm doing, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes it came out a little crazy, right? But in my mind, there was like, this is what I'm doing. I'm the tech guy. I know, this. I know how people were using it and not using it, and I can help them and all that other kind of stuff. But behind that was this doubt of, is this my life's work? Is this what I really want to? If how there's sometimes when you have, I don't know, networking meetings or something like that, somebody will ask, if there's one thing that you can do for the rest of your life, what it would be, and all that other kind of stuff. And when I would ask myself that, it's like, I like technology and I understand technology, but that's not really what really lights me up and really kind of causes me to show up fully in my work. And so what is that? And basically being with people, right? Being with dreamers, being with people that are up to something, and really helping them honor that is really what I'm up to.
And that's such a great question, because it's so open.
Right.
If you could be anything, if money were no object,
right,
if time were irrelevant,
right,
what would you do? What would you do with yourself? What would you do with your time? If your answer isn't what I'm doing right now,
right,
you're not doing the right thing.
Right. You're not doing it right.
You're not.
Right.
And that's such a great way to like open up that door of that personal discovery, to get to know who you are and what really does light you up.
Right. And the one thing that I had to admit that I don't know if I've ever shared this with you before. My first career plan was to be a priest, right? I just thought that, I just need to go somewhere and pray and just kind of be away from everybody, and that's just who I was going to be. And then I realized that, priests don't have a wife, right? So it's like, okay, I want a wife, right? So it's like, I guess I can't do that priest thing. But what I realized in this rediscovery of myself is that a large part of this self journey that I've been on has been a spiritual journey. It's been really connecting to what I really believe, not just, about myself, but believe in general. And my belief or my spiritual awareness has caused me to really be available to people, to listen more deeply, to have compassion, and to be, a cheerleader. And, I thought I was, a collaborator, someone that really liked, work with people and kind of help other people do things. But I think more than that, I want to empower people to just be. because the more that we can just be, the more that everything becomes possible. I work out of a framework of a be, do, have, right? So the more that I understand who I be, right, the more my being has doing, right? So there's doing that happens because there's an awareness, an actionable awareness of my being, right? Then I can have the life that I want. Too often before, I was this doer, because you have to stay in action, but I had no connection to who I be, right? So it was like I was doing all this stuff and getting all this stuff and having all this stuff, and it's like, yeah, I don't want this. It's like, okay, what am I going to do with this? And so it took me losing a lot and almost losing my marriage for me to go, all right, what do I want?
Yeah, I think that's a really an interesting. We've heard the be do have formula before.
Right.
Brad Sugars out of Australia developed the be do have formula with the Action Coach, and it is an interesting formula that if you do it in the wrong order, you will have the things that you never asked for,
Right.
and they might not be the things that resonate with you at all.
Right.
And if you don't know who you be, like you said.
Right.
And here's the thing too. We all know the doers. We all know the hustlers that are out there doing.
Right.
And I mean, we see them all the time. Gary Vee is one of them. He talks about do. Just go and do 12-hour, 14-hour days. Like hustle and grind, do the work. Right. And doing the work is good, but it has to be in alignment with who you are. And if you're not aligning with the work, then what are you working for?
Right. I had a coach tell me that my actions and inactions will produce results. And it was like, wow, oh, okay. And it's like, so the results that you're getting, it's either from your actions or your inactions. And I was looking around and seeing things that there's a lot of things that I said, oh, I'll deal with this later. Well, okay, here's what that produced, right?
Here's later.
right. It's like, okay, now I'm going to deal with that. And so there was a lot of, unintentional things happening in my life, in my business, in my relationships, because I didn't have action in those areas. And the one reason why I didn't have action in those areas is because I didn't know who I was in those areas, how I could fully show up in those areas. Mm-hmm. So it was my way. It's like, you know what? I'll figure this out later when I figure out, what I want to do in this. But life just goes on, and we can decide if we're going to be in it or not. And that's why I encourage people to have an actionable awareness of themselves. Because we can sit in the corner and go, well, I'm just going to find myself and all that kind of stuff. But life is happening, So this is who I am. This is who I understand myself to be. And these are the actions that I'm going to be in, because we have to stay in action. And sometimes it's messy and sometimes it's confusing. But at the end of it is what we really want.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think having the right coach, the right mentor, the right habits to help you find who you be and to help you figure out what are the necessary actions to be that person. Because at the end of the day, we're bombarded as human beings. We're bombarded with information every day, like 2 million bits of data every second of every day. So by the time we're teenagers, we've forgotten who we be.
Right.
Because the world has told us who we need to be.
Right.
The world has told us who we should be, who we are.
Right.
And at the end of the day, that probably isn't who you were born as.
Right.
And so we then spend all of our 20s, and now some of us are 30s or 40s, trying to figure out who was that person when I was a kid before the world told me what I needed to be. Who was I then? and let me get
Right.
back in touch with that person because that person was happy every day.
Right. Right. And that's why I use, something simple as, Dr. Seuss. There's no one youer than you, right?
Yeah.
But we are so conditioned in our society to not to be ourselves, right? We take on these labels as, tech professionals or entrepreneurs and, all the other labels that show up in our lives. And then we lose ourselves. We have no awareness of the you that will actually bring us joy and our power. And it's like you were saying that, this happy little kid, where'd you go, right? Where'd you go? And there's so many people that it feels like you go through your life, and at some point you say, enough. I'm going to live my own life. And it's like, for me, I'm in my 50s. My trauma came in my late 40s, but I am so grateful that not of the painful experience, but I have this level of awareness of myself that I can honestly say that I am living my life. And some days it's kind of crazy, and some days it's lazy. Some days there's a lot of confusion, but it's mine, and I get to decide, and that's a powerful way to be in your life.
Absolutely. And I think you mentioned something earlier that I kind of want to go back to, and that was listening deeply.
Hmm.
And do you think that your ability to listen deeply and actually hear and not just respond for the sake of responding, but listen and hear what's being said, both what you're saying to yourself and what other people say, and being able to apply that, do you think that's something that's been really critical for you in terms of the leadership that you've been able to bring to each of your roles?
Yes, I think that's why I've taken on the label of a business life coach. And so how I frame that, or how I unpack that, is I have business conversations with a listening to your life. And that's what was missing when I was doing the technology center and some other leadership roles. It was, this is going on in my life. I can't deal with that. I have to go to work, right? I mean, type of thing. And so kids were growing up, and marriage, everybody needed my time, that I didn't have time for that. I was one to do that. And it was very hard for me to listen to 5 ways to grow my business, or or improving my SEO, or something, all the things that as business owners we need to like be focused on or know, until I realize that, until I have a listening for my life, how my life is occurring to me, that will cause me to show up a certain way in my business, or not show up in my business. I needed to deal with that. And so that's how I now listen to my clients, that it's like, hey, what's going on in your life? I know these are the numbers, or this is not working in your business. What's going on in your life? So once we identify that, then we can say, because this is showing up, now how we look at looking at your website, or looking at the other things that you kind of see, what you can put into it and what you do not have the bandwidth to put into it, and be okay with that.
Do you see patterns show up in like week to week in some of the work that you're doing for these business owners that you're coaching?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the patterns that are coming up now because of COVID-19 is that the uncertainty of it all, and asking, there, anyone that has been an entrepreneur like live in the life of uncertainty. So it just boggles my mind that they're like, oh my God, there's so much uncertainty. No, guys, that's how we live our life. We act as if there wasn't uncertainty, but there was this uncertainty everywhere. And
Welcome to
I
being a business owner, right?
Right, right, and so it's like, so what I am seeing, and the patterns that I'm seeing, is just having people. I invite people to embrace an uncertainty, and whatever that means. and so the pattern is that there are different times of the day. There's different opportunities if they're got enough sleep, or if they had um, you know, something good to eat, type of thing, or if they have a good relationship, at home, had a great conversation, that how they approach uncertainty. So all of those other factors, kind of, when I ask them to look, it's like, yeah, this was a good day because here are all the other things that are happening in my life. It's like, oh, great, so you can do that. But those times when they're more concerned about the uncertainty than anything else is because there's a lot of other areas that are out of whack, that they're concerned of. It's like, yeah, I didn't drink enough water today, or I'm just kind of feeling off, or something like that. When we're off, or when there's a feeling of being off, how they approach things, how we kind of, quote unquote, go back to work. We don't go back to work fully. And so they're starting to see that, this is why I'm not kind of interested in this report right now. Has nothing to do with me being lazy, right? Because that's what I would do. It's like, oh, geez, why am I not doing my homework? Or why am I not looking at my P&L? Why, all the things, because I'm such a terrible business owner. It's because of all the other thing that had my headspace.
It does. Everything that happens in our life, in our day, rubs off on the other things that are in our life and in our day. They
Right.
correlate, they relate to each other. The food that you eat, the physical activity that you have, the energy of the people that are in your life. If you're in a habit of turning the news on first thing in the morning, the energy that's coming through that TV right at you when you very first wake up is what you're going to carry the rest of the day with you. So being very aware of those habits helps along the way too.
Right. Too often we act as if nothing else is causing anything. It's like, we have no connection
we have
to
this
it.
like disassociative property inside of our brains somehow. We don't realize that all of these things contribute to the outcome that we're getting.
Right.
We disassociate it for some reason.
Right. And that's, I've really embraced for myself, and I invite my clients to embrace the whole and complete. And what does that mean? That how I am showing up in my work, in my life, I have everything that I need. I'm complete in everything. There is just an awareness that I have about things and don't have. And my relationship to other things around me caused me to not feel whole and complete, not to feel worthy, not to feel that I can handle this. The imposter syndrome, what kind of shows up, and it's like, yes, there's a humbling of that, and kind of keep us grounded and all that kind of stuff. But when it becomes a sense of lack, or keeping us from really doing the things that we need to do for our business and in our relationships and for ourselves, then it's a detriment.
Absolutely. And do you have a particular set of habits or books or audios that you listen to help you keep in the right mindset and to help keep you grounded and help keep you focused?
Right. I have a meditation practice, and it started a couple years ago, and I think, and I hate using this word because it's serious. When sometimes people say, you're not a serious entrepreneur. It's like, dude, I'm serious. This is killing me. But so I have a problem with serious, but I'm going to use it anyway. So I got serious with my meditation practice when I reframed it, and I said, I am committed to at least 15 minutes a day with myself in quiet, and so every morning I take 15 minutes and sometimes more of just sitting quiet and just seeing, like, who woke up today, right? It's like, because, there are some days where I can like feel like I can break through a wall, and some days it's like, yeah, I'm not having it. I'm not feeling it. But the more that I can sit with who woke up today, the more that I can make choices, the more that I can decide how I'm going to show up today. And that has caused me to really be intentional. It's like I said before, like the coach said to me that um, actions and inactions produce results, and it's that intentional actions produce what we want. I say every day as a habit, happy today. I say it on my show. I say it to myself. I say it to remind myself and to, one, have a declaration that I'm going to have a happy day, however that's going to show up. And then I create that. I have conversations like this, or I just do that. And it's like, hey, I had a happy day, and just kind of go from there. And it's like more being intentional about my day really causes anything and everything to be possible for my day.
Absolutely. And I think it's fascinating that you chose the word happy day. Happy today, happy day, and choosing to focus on the happy,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
You've
Yeah,
told yourself you're going to be happy, and
right,
therefore you're going to find the things in the day that make you happy.
right. There were so many days that were continuations, like the Groundhog Day, right? A continuation of everything, all my disappointments from the day before,
Oh God,
right?
that's the
Yeah,
worst, right? Yeah.
right. And it's just like, yeah, I'm getting off that train, right? Right,
And as entrepreneurs and business owners that are listening to this show, I'm sure a lot of them can say, "Oh my God, yes, I'm still on Groundhog Day." It's
Right.
currently July 31st as we're recording this, but it still feels like February 2nd.
Right, right, right. And so if I'm going to have a recurring day, my recurring day is happy, right? And what I can find, um there is I don't say, there's an outing, a gathering that I did, a program. It's in my coaching, but I do it on a public um, offering too. It's called The Art of Noticing.
Hmm.
And what I do is that, what I ask people to do is that just go throughout, take some time, set aside, and just go around your house, go around, walk around your neighborhood, and just notice what you notice. There are things that are right in front of you that you don't notice. And I think the more that you look at what you're noticing or become aware of what you're noticing, then you can see how it can help you. Then you can see how you can make a difference in this area. Because there were so many things in my life that I just wasn't noticing. That it was a new day, but I just wasn't noticing it was a new day because I'm still worrying about the shit that I did or didn't do yesterday. Right? And the more that I stop that and notice, okay, I'm up today. What's new today? What does today have for me? Then I notice a lot of other things that are showing up and that are available to me to have me to have a happy today.
Have you ever read the book by Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now?
Yep, that's how I move from the days of the week to today. So I don't say happy Monday, happy Tuesday, and most of the times, if somebody doesn't say, I don't know what day it is, because it's only today. We only have now, because that was my word of the year last year, now. So it's like, okay, since it's the word of the year, let's read The Power of Now. And it like blew my mind, right? So, but it was great. It really caused me to get present to my life,
Yeah.
to really say, when I am worried about the future or what's might happen or could happen, and worry about what happened, right? And spending that and kind of being pissed off or mad about that, to what's happening right now.
Mm.
And what am I going to do right now? And that's the more that I am in those moments, the more that I can be grateful and happy, and go from there. And I just invite, my clients and the people around me to just kind of be present. What are you present to? And because then that's when possibility shows up.
Absolutely. I love that you read it, because what you were talking about so resonated. We're reading it now. So we just finished chapter 1. So we're
I know, it just blows your hair back, doesn't it? Right? It's like,
yeah.
What?
And the thing that he was talking about was when he came through his awakening, he was talking about how he just was picking things up and like looking at them and in appreciating them and then putting them back down, and like did that for days. He did that for like a week in his book. And it was fascinating to me when you started talking about just being present and like doing the what's around you and like go on a scavenger hunt. What's in your office?
Yeah.
What's on your desk that you haven't looked at in 6 months? I know there's something there. Because there's everybody's desk that we haven't looked at in 6 months.
Absolutely. I have those moments, I guess vulnerable moments. Sometimes with my desk, I will, get tired of things and I'll just shift it over to the little pile over there. So I have a clean desk. So it's like I let myself believe that my desk is clean, but there's so many things that I'm not dealing with. And then every once in a while, I'll look over at the pile of things, and it's like, okay, are those things really important, or is there something that they need to go, that needs my attention? And so sometimes one by one, I will kind of look and see and go, you know what? This doesn't need to be on my desk anymore. This is past,
Today's the day to file it away.
There's a quote that one of my favorite quotes is, opportunities of a lifetime must be seized in the lifetime of the opportunity. And sometimes that's how I look at my desk. It's like, I have no idea what the hell that is now. So the opportunity is gone. So it's like, off my desk, right? And if it's really important or something that needs my attention, it'll come back. It usually does. It's like, hey, that report that you were working on? Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna need you to finish that, right? And it's like, hey, you want to resend that to me? So it's like, get on that. But it is really, the more that I've noticed, and I said, I'm kidding there, that when I get that POW is because I'm not present to things. Things come up and it just kind of, okay, I'll deal with it, and then it turns into a POW. The more present, like when I look at my week, look at Friday or something, and I see that there's not a lot of new stuff on my desk still like waiting for my attention, I say I've been present in my week. It's kind of an indication to me that, yes, it feels like I've been doing a lot of stuff, and I have, because it's dealt with and it's not still sitting here waiting for me to get the attention of it.
We all have to have those indicators, right? We have to have that little alert that goes off to let us know if we're here or if we're just kind of living Groundhog Day.
Right.
And if we don't have something that indicates that to us, the clean desk is an indicator for me too, that I've done everything that I needed to do. I can walk away from my office this weekend and not think about it again until Monday.
Right.
And that's cool.
Right.
The days that my desk is not clean and I walk out of the office and the desk is a mess, my weekend becomes a mess. And Monday morning, I don't come back into the office. Monday morning, I work in a different room just so that way I don't have to see it.
Right.
So,
right. That works too, right?
Working from home is that you can do that. But the problem is then you're not dealing with it. And so you've got
Right.
to be present and deal with it at that moment.
Right. And I think a part of my coaching also is what I call the TLC methodology.
Mm.
So it is tools, language, and commitment. So that's a TLC. So really looking at the tools that you have that are available to you to help you accomplish something. And most of the times we don't really accomplish something as an entrepreneur or something because we feel like we're missing tools, right? Type of thing. We don't have everything that we need. But there are a lot of things, a lot of tools that we have that are not identified. You have to identify them. Sometimes it's people, our connections, that can help us kind of do that. And so the L is, language, is how are we talking about this thing, this challenge, this opportunity? And I have really caught myself saying that, oh, this is hard, this is difficult, and everything like that. If I'm using that type of language, there's no way that I'm going to, do that because it's hard, it's difficult, it's all that kind of stuff. So really look at changing identify what your language is, and don't pretty it up. Just say, okay, this is the language that I'm using. So it's wonder why I can do that. And then if you need to make adjustments to your language so you can accomplish things, do that. And C, with commitments, is to really look at what you're really committed to. Because I said before, your actions not only tell you what you believe, but they tell you what you're committed to. Mm. And so there is sometimes, and I use, I've been on this weight journey myself and being fit, right? And it's like there's sometimes where I would say that I'm committed to losing 15 pounds, but my actions show that I wasn't. What I was really committed to was, and this is kind of crazy, I was committed to saying that I was going to lose 15 pounds. And because that makes me look good. I'm a good person. Hey, I'm trying, I'm working, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Until I really got clear with myself and say, I am committed to living a healthier life. Mm-hmm. Now, my actions are totally different. Now, when I look at a donut, it's like, hey, am I committed? Are you committed to this donut? Or are you committed to living a healthy life? You know what? I'm going to put this down. Or maybe I'll have a bite, right? It's like, honey, you want the rest of this? Right. Or something. Right. It's that. And so, but all together, be kind to yourself. Give yourself some grace because look, we're going to make mistakes. We're going to say, our negative language comes up very easy. I don't know for you, but for me, it does. Sometimes I can say that I'm committed to something, and it's like, the reality when you look at my actions, I was like, I guess I really wasn't, right? So it's like I can either beat myself up about it, or I can say, you know what, I need to kind of make some choices here, different choices here.
And I think that's common amongst entrepreneurs and business owners and the like, because I think we have to sell ourselves first on the idea. So Absolutely. We have to hear ourselves say it. And then we have to hear ourselves say it to the point that we actually believe what we're saying.
Right.
And then once we believe what we're saying, now we can own it. And once we own it, it actually becomes that action. We're actually going to take that next step to actually make that a possibility and fulfill that.
Right.
My husband has gone through this too. Like he said 2 years ago, I'm not an SEO guy. I'm a businessman. Wow. And when I'm a businessman, I have opportunities to do different things with my time, not always search engine optimization.
Right.
And I was like, right. And it took him 2 years, but now he is a businessman and he has all other opportunities, and he's not only doing SEO anymore. Now he has these other things that he's doing.
Right.
But it took him 2 years to say it, own it, and then take the action towards it.
Right. Absolutely. There's I have the conversation of living beyond our labels, right? Mm. One, it is the self described or identified label that you have, what that is, right? And then, so there's a part of that, there's the steps within that of owner. And I think you said it so beautifully. It's like we have to get to the point that we own who we say that we are. And that the more that we take that, and then there's going to come a time where we're going to be tested. Hey, are you a businessman? Okay, Mr. Businessman, what are we doing right now? Right? And then once you really get it, then you can live within that, and then let some other things go. So the SEO guy is still there, but not there, and it's like, I am my labels and I'm not my labels. And so that's a wonderful thing. But within that, you own it, and you own the understanding of that, and you allow yourself to grow within that. And I think most of the times people that show up only one way is because there is this fear that if I'm not this, then who am I? And that's when you asked me before about my leadership, I felt that, yeah, I'm a leader. I'm the boss. I'm this, all that kind of stuff. And then when, my business, when I went out of business in that area, then I was questioning, am I a business? Am I a leader? And it's like, and it took me a number of years to even get back into the business game, right? The entrepreneurial game, because I was questioning if I could take on that label again, if I can, be that. And now my leadership shows up like, within my coaching, first for myself, I have to lead myself. Then I can give people access to them leading themselves, and then we can show up in our leadership in any role. So now with my show, I had to be a leader in that. I had to show up in that as someone that is going to do it daily. And it was like, I didn't think I had it in me, right? I had to, as an author, I didn't know I had a couple children's books in me. I'm the tech guy, I'm all that other kind of stuff. But the more that I let that go and embrace those other things and own them, then I was able to produce some results in that.
Absolutely. And I think it comes down to how we define things, right? So I talk a lot to business owners about the definition of success for them. Right. Because success means different things to different people. And Darren Hardy might disagree with me on this, but at the end of the day, I think everybody has to define success for themselves in order to consider themselves successful.
Absolutely.
I can't measure my level of success against somebody else's level of success because their definition of success is different than mine. Right. And it wouldn't be fair to me or to them.
Right. Because, and then you miss them because you're expecting success to show up a certain way, and they're like working their ass off doing all these things, and then you say, oh, you're not successful. What? It's like now it's like, what? I have no connection with you. I've caused a disconnection with you because, and I think for me, I had to really redefine or clearly define what success meant to me. Because for me, success was in that building. Success was with how many people were showing up. Success was all these other things, in some cases, that I had no control over. The more that I took control of success, the success of my daily meditation practice, that it's like, hey, did I spend 15 minutes with myself today? Yes. Right on you. That's a success. Did I do my show today? Right? Did I tell my wife I loved her? Yes. It's like all these little things. That's what success builds into a successful life and a happy today, because I've redefined it. And before, I can honestly say they weren't successes. They were just stuff I did, right? It's just like, that's what I do. You're a nice person. You say thank you and please, and why wouldn't you tell your wife you loved her? That's crazy. Don't give yourself credit for that, right? It's like, no. So.
But we do have to give ourselves credit as we grow, as we move, as we become more us, as we
Right.
own our being more. We have to give ourselves those little credits, because the little wins are what add up. It's the compound effect, right?
Right.
The little wins add up to that big win, whatever that big win is. So if
Right.
you're taking those tiny little baby steps every day, you have that pile sitting on your desk,
Right.
like some of us do. I'm not
Right.
saying I do.
It's like, I see nothing. I see
It's not
nothing.
there.
Right?
But like I was talking about with a different business coach earlier in this show, or earlier in this my podcast, it's taking that little bite. It's doing that one action. Can you take that one piece of paper that's on the top, look at it today, and make a
Right.
decision?
Right.
Do I need to take action on this? Is it past? Is it
Right.
something I need to file? Is it something I need to toss? What am I
Right.
doing with this? And
Right.
throw that away. Can you move one piece of paper today?
Right.
Yeah. Who can't move one piece of paper today?
Right.
Well, if you can move one piece of paper today, do you think maybe you can move 2 pieces of paper tomorrow?
Right.
Maybe 3 pieces of paper the next day? Well, guess what? You hit the end of the week and there is no more pile.
Right.
Because you've
Absolutely.
moved just that one little bit at a time.
Right.
And so that celebrating those one little steps at a time makes such a huge difference.
Right. And like I said, and it first starts with our definition of success.
Absolutely.
The more that we get in touch with that, the more that we can be available to our lives and take advantage of all the blessings and all of the, the miracles and that we're a part of, and that sometimes we just, in the process of, being an entrepreneur or being a business owner, we kind of lose sight of that, because there's so many hats and there's so many things that grab our attention, but there's so many, things to be grateful for. And that, but it starts when we make that decision.
Bill, this has been absolutely delightful. I so appreciate you taking the time and sharing with us not only our TLC, but how we can start to identify who we are and own that space so that we can show up as better, authentic leaders for ourselves, for our families, and for our businesses. And I know that the people listening really appreciated the insights that you've shared with us today. What's going to be the best way for them to get in touch with you so that they can get more guidance?
Well, I am surprised that this was available, but it is at iamwilliambrown.com. It's like with all of these William Browns out there in the world, I was like, I just got this last year, right? It's like, what were you guys thinking? So maybe it was just waiting for me. So you can get in touch with me at iamwilliambrown.com. It's I have a Facebook page. You can find me on Facebook and on LinkedIn. And there's a couple I am William Brown without the O I think on Twitter or something, because there's the other William Brown has the O. So I guess I didn't need the O for that. But yeah, you'll either see this face or go to the website, and it's you can get you there, but it would be great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm so looking forward to always continuing our conversations and continuing to stay connected and continuing to grow together. It's been an absolute joy and pleasure to watch you grow and to be part of that journey wherever it fits for us to be part of that journey. So
Wonderful.
Thank you.
And you're definitely terrific, right? Wonderful. This is great.
Awesome. Thank you.